What's the dumbest thing you were paid to do and how much were you paid?
I rented my chicken to a photographer for $50.
Did he strap a camera to its head?
I was paid to be a kind of server for a fancy outdoor dinner party. They wanted me to go around with a plate of drinks and food and offer it to people. When I get there, they tell me the person they hired to cook on the grill never showed, so they wanted me to make that my priority. But I told them I didn't know how to grill anything. I was 17. The woman told me to look helpless and some man would come do it. Every man thinks he's the grill master and wants to show off. So I did. And it worked. I basically got paid to stand next to this guy and thank him every so often, and get him drinks. I got paid over $100 for just a few hours. It was pretty awesome.
That guy's probably still telling the story about how he saved the day.
$175 to do some kind of user study at Netflix. I show up in the lobby and then they go, "Actually, we got the data we needed from the studies earlier today. You're free to go." Still got paid.
When I was a teen, my mom volunteered me to participate in some kind of neuroscience study. As we showed up and prepared to enter the MRI room, I smiled and the assistant noticed my braces. "Don't want my teeth ripped out, no thank you." But we still got paid anyway.
Okay, this wasn't a job or anything. But I got $10 to eat half a watermelon.
Damn, $10 and free watermelon, sign me up.
It was a good watermelon too. Very sweet and juicy.
My friend asked me to clean out his guinea pig cage because he couldn't be bothered that day. In payment, he gave me his copy of Zoo Tycoon 2 for PC.
Solid trade.
Definitely. 12 years later I've still got it and it works, so no complaints.
Had a WFH gig working sort of as a personal assistant for a rich guy on the opposite coast from me. I did all kinds of wacky poo for him. For example, one time I had to break up with my boss's girlfriend because he was too wimpy to do it himself. RLY, weird poo like that was literally my job. One day, I bought him a new pickup truck. Meaning, I negotiated the deal and paid for the truck with his credit card. All in all, I'd say the process probably took about 2 weeks, for which I was paid my usual wage at 6 hours per day. No big deal. Somehow, his dad found out about the new truck and he decided he wanted a new pickup truck too. He called me about a week after I bought the truck for my boss and said he'd pay me $2,000 to buy a truck for him. I called the same dealership back, spoke to the same salesman, told him what was up and basically said give me another truck, same price as before. The salesman was only too happy to comply. It took 10 minutes to make the phone call and then a day or two to get the title and other paperwork sorted out. So, depending on how you look at it, I made $2,000 for just 10 minutes worth of work. Somehow, my boss's rich friend found out about all this. He decided he wanted a new SUV. "Oh yeah, throw it away, you have to buy it for me." I told him the last time I bought someone a vehicle, I got paid $2,000. The friend was basically like, "F it, I'll pay you $3,000, just get it for me," and then he emailed me his wish list. That deal took a little longer, maybe 2 weeks. I made $5,000 extra in just 2 months buying vehicles for lazy, or dumb, rich people.
I have a friend that has a whole business around this. Concierge car buyer. It's a thing, and he makes a lot of money buying both mundane and exotic cars for rich people that don't have time.
$1,325. The guy wanted a drawing of his pony having sex with a bunch of balloons shaped like various cartoon characters in a massive collage. My rate charges per character per fetish, and he came to me fully prepared to dump $1,500 on the complete commission after adding it all up himself. I gave him a discount since even I felt like it was insanity. I probably should have charged the full amount since it did end up taking me 2 weeks to do on and off just from burnout at drawing the same style balloon over and over just in different shapes, but that was definitely the most silly, dumb commission I've ever had, or at least the most I've been commissioned for something dumb, silly.
I'm always amazed by how much money furries have to spend on their fetishes. Like damn. I rarely want to spend more than $10 on a magic card and I've been playing MTG since I was like 13.
I was flown to Paris to do a compliance audit. The systems weren't set up for the audit, couldn't get access, so spent the week being taken to restaurants and shopping. On one of the days and at the last minute the company decided to send me into London for a meeting. Literally just to meet people. I missed the Eurostar because I forgot my passport, totally blanked that I was entering another country. They had to rebook the Eurostar. Nothing was achieved out of this trip. No audit was completed. Nothing came of the meeting. The cost to the company $25K++ for me to do nothing for a week. Corporate money is ridiculous money.
My wife's company had a fiscally great year because the mucky mucks weren't gallivanting all over the globe on business travel.
Got paid $300 to shovel my neighbor's front steps and driveway while she was away on vacation all winter. It did not even flurry once.
Highway robbery, but good for you.
Hang a TV. Then make sure that TV worked the following day and then take the TV down the day after. Made $1,000.
Do they have you deliver it somewhere afterwards? Because if so, that TV is stuffed full of DG, bro.
I used to work for a PR agency. Every month one of our clients wanted a handful of photos resized for their website. Nothing fancy, just setting the width to 500px in Windows Photo Manager. It was maybe 10 minutes of work every month, but the contract said the minimum amount of time we would charge them for was 1 day, and this was for the full team too, not just me. It must have cost them several £100 every month. I showed the client how to do it several times, and explained that they could save a lot of money doing it themselves. They didn't seem to mind. In the end I made sure I got it in writing that I'd informed them of their options and let them get on with it.
Hi buddy, do you happen to know the contact information for this fine establishment?
Some 20-something years ago, I was 16 and working for a startup pizza place. The owners had no idea what they were doing in the beginning, they just wanted to sell pizzas. Went on to become a major chain, making the owners pretty wealthy. This takes place in Europe. So, I delivered pizza. There was a fee of the equivalent of $4 for each pizza, plus tips. Well, there was a lot of demand, and it was a small place, so you could deliver multiple pizzas within a 15-minute period. So, on busy nights I could make $50 an hour. Sometimes more. After a year or so, the owners figured out that the delivery boys were making more money than him, and changed it to $10 an hour, which is not bad, but most of us quit anyways. Still to this day one of the better paying jobs I have ever had.
I delivered pizzas, this was in like the late 1980s. I remember, $6 per hour, plus tips, in a fancy neighborhood $1 minus 3 per pizza was not unusual, plus gas money, plus free pizza at the end of the night. If you include the cost of the free pizza I was making easily 4 to 5 times minimum wage. Had to have a car, and buy gas, and take the risk of driving and all that, but was great money.
25 years ago, and in Indiana, the law was that in order to operate nail salon, someone there must hold a full cosmetology license, not just a nail technician license. A nail salon opened next to the hair salon I worked at and they all held nail technician licenses, and the one who held a cosmetology license would be delayed in Korea for a week for whatever reason. At 18 years old, I was paid $25 an hour merely to sit in the nail salon as the holder of the license. I answered no phones, tended to no clients, did nothing but paint my own nails repeatedly and watch TV for an entire week. Was a sweet, sweet gig.
I'd like to stress to the readers that $25 * 25 years ago * is closer to like $40 minus 45 today. Even if inflation wasn't a thing, that still would have been really damn awesome.
Great point. I was making $4.25 an hour plus tips on $11.95 haircuts. This felt like lottery money.
When I was like 20, got hired to be an assistant for some event in Hollywood. I carried 1 box of liquor into the place and they gave me a walkie-talkie and said they'd let me know when they needed me for anything else. Waited a while with no calls and found that next door they were holding a yoga class for AA members. Poked my head in the door, and they invited me to join them, so I did. After the yoga, I went to return the walkie-talkie and the guy says, "Oh, we didn't use you at all, did we? Got $60.
I got hired for a Taylor Swift concert to be a brand ambassador for CoverGirl. She was their spokesperson, so I stood around for a few hours putting makeup and drawing the number 13 on 8-year-olds and got to hear her concert. I got to keep all the leftover makeup too. Got paid $150. I was paid $50 to assemble some brand new gym equipment for a friend because her husband had been dragging his feet for months. I opened up the box, pulled it out, and made the easiest $50 of my life because it was pre-assembled. I just took 10 seconds to unfold it and was done. She was furious with her husband, and still paid me to spite him. Edit. Dang, this blew up. Alright, time to answer the question on everyone's mind. Why didn't she do it herself? She was in her 50s and had a bad back. It was one of those inverted back stretcher things to help relieve pain. The husband was 100% the bad guy in this case.
My neighbor, wife, uses me to goad her husband into doing things around the house. She asks me to come over to do something and then tells her husband when I will be there, and he always starts the project before my start date. Never fails. He don't want another man mowing his lawn. It's a joke now.
I got asked to do 2 hours of barrier watch, guarding a barrier ribbon while a crew did X-rays inside a power plant. This was asked last minute after a 12-hour shift, so the bonuses of staying happening to be a Sunday, etc. I was being paid $110 to stand and play on my phone and make sure nobody tried to pass all the do not enter danger signs during a time of day with minimal personnel.
In all fairness, no matter how obvious the danger and the amount of signage you put up, no defense will ever be idiot-proof. So having someone stand there and make sure no one is dumb enough to ignore all the signs isn't the worst investment. Cheaper than paying some dumbasses' medical bills.
Got paid $40,000 to not show up at work. It was the financial crisis and there was a hiring freeze right before I was due to start work. The company I was to work for couldn't honor the employment contract we signed, but it was all very sudden and my would-be bosses felt bad enough about the situation that they offered me half a year's salary as a gesture of goodwill.
That's how you know that would have been a great company to work for.
It wouldn't have actually. It was a bulge bracket e-bank, which meant 90 hours a week at least, and it was in an Asian country infamous for its work ethic, so the problem would have been worse, I think. But those probably would have been decent bosses to work for, even if they obviously can't do much to change the prevailing work culture of the whole e-banking sector, country's culture. Edit, for all those in this thread who somehow assume I'm a guy, for the record I'm a woman. We exist in the world too, winking face. And for the small handful saying they paid me to avoid legal trouble and getting out of a breach of contract, there are many erroneous assumptions in this. Firstly, there was no breach of contract as there were no provisions in the contract in this regard that could constitute a breach. It was not legally binding either. They literally did not need to do this for me. And besides, this was for a junior, fresh out of college role. You'd be naive to try to sue a huge firm for an extra $40,000. Even if you won in some highly illogical universe, the reward is peanuts and you've earned yourself an awful rep in the industry in the process for kicking up a fuss during the worst crisis many had ever seen in their lifetime, no less. Just think of the hidden cost there in terms of foregone future employment opportunities and massive earnings from that. You burn bridges and come off looking petty. Makes no sense. Earned €700 monthly for an internship which consisted of me sitting around all day, waiting for work which wouldn't come because the company F'd up the internship offer and accidentally hired someone they didn't need at all. So basically I was being paid to take the train in the morning and then back in the evening.
That honestly sounds awful. I would rather have something to do, lol.
I'm a hobbyist's woodturner. It's more of a passion. Once as a joke, early into my hobby, I made a wooden butt plug and posted on my Instagram, again, as a joke. I immediately had an acquaintance message me asking if I could make her one that was obviously safe for the human body and various other business that such an item would interact with. So I did. Totally safe for the human body. She paid me well for it. Later, her followers were messaging me asking I could make them some. And now, that's something I do often.
I know this may sound weird coming from an internet stranger, but I'm oddly proud of your ingenuity, lol.
Thank you. Definitely not something I plan to do. Definitely capitalizing off the business of it though. A brother needs to eat LMAO.
I tutored for the 21-year-old daughter of a wealthy family and charged around $65 an hour. I warned in advance that I still charged for cancellations if there was less than 24 hours notice, but she would regularly arrange 6-hour sessions or longer, then cancel on the day. I told them and let them off the charge the first few times, but nothing changed, so I thought, F it, person shrugging. For 6 months or so, I was probably making an extra $400 on average per week just for cancellations.
I was recently paid $25 per hour to babysit a 17-year-old. Not tutor or anything. I just had to make sure she was going to her virtual class when her parents weren't there. I didn't last long because of how bored I was. Oh, and I'm only 20.
Go retrieve a school chicken sandwich from the cafeteria. I was paid $10 for my vigorous labor.
Reminded me of my elderly math teacher in high school. The faculty office was in the 4th floor while the cafeteria was on the 1st. I was part of the photography club, so I had to go to the faculty to do some reports, and she would ask me to pick her lunch from the cafeteria and get something for myself. It became part of my routine since she's one of the kindest teacher there.
That's awesome of you. Something just feels right about helping good teachers out.
I was paid $300 to move my car for a movie that was filming by my apartment.
Ha, this is something I used to do. You'd be surprised the contracts I drew up and the money for it. Insanity. Please move your car minus $250. Take down your political sign $100. Sorry, we're filming right next door. Don't bother us. Sorry to bother you. Lock you in $500 plus crafty. Etc. etc. Films do this frequently. We write it into our budgets actually, and it's easily 0.10005,000 K per set, location, depending where and what we're doing.
I made $10 per hour, 2006, to open soda cans, pour them out and throw them away.
You drank some of them didn't?
I'm an engineer and I used to work for a consulting firm. One of our clients wanted us to build them a weather station on one of their sites. We sent them the spec for how to do the base. These towers sit on a concrete base and have guy wires that also need to be anchored to the ground, and the client was like, "We'd really rather you just did the whole thing." So my coworker, a scientist, and I had to do all the work ourselves. Dig the holes, build the forms, mix concrete in a wheelbarrow and pour it, finish it, etc. We were both billed out at $150 an hour to do work that laborers could have done for half that, and the laborers almost certainly would have done a better job.
I worked as a part-time gopher for this wildly rich artist for about a year. Circa 2017. Did all sorts of random, and I mean effing random, jobs for the guy. By far my favorite is he once paid me $350 cash to drive to downtown LA to find him, the perfect piñata. AKA a donkey that looks like a unicorn. AKA an ugly unicorn. He was also very color specific. Had to be a specific mix of every color, but no red. I'm expecting an all-day hunt. But, if you haven't been to downtown Los Angeles, let me tell you, it must be the piñata mecca. Massive warehouses back-to-back taking up whole blocks where you can browse any possible variant of piñata. Buzz Lightyear piñata? Got it. Sex doll style piñata? Got it. Giant snow globe piñata? Got it. Donald Trump's head piñata? Got it. I found the piñata I was looking for within 10 minutes, browsed some more for my own curiosity, then brought the piñata back to this guy's house. Whole thing took maybe an hour and a half. Got paid in cash. Then had the pleasure of watching this guy hang the piñata in his living room where he wanted to whack the poo out of it alone. His reasoning? No clue. But I got paid, baby.
I did an event for a National Association for Deaf People at which they did every presentation in ASL. I am an audio engineer, who specializes in live sound and concerts. I did nothing for 5 days of show, $450 a day.
I took a temporary position in the hospital I work. The position was to be a nurse for patients who had to stay overnight after surgery, and discharge them in the morning. This started because COVID had increased our patient population, and the regular floor could not accommodate these types of patients. They closed the pre-op area and instead were putting these overnight patients there. Except, some nights no patients stayed overnight. There were 2 of us, offered to be low censist, meaning they can send us home and we would either take PTO or not be paid. Instead, they insisted we stay in the unit, by ourselves, just in case. For this special assignment they were paying us $50 an hour bonus over our regular rate of pay. So I was getting paid $95 per hour to literally sit and crochet, read, and listen to music.
I got paid fairly nicely for a couple of months to sit in an office and browse the web for 7 hours and 50 minutes a day and do mail merge for the other 10 minutes. This was literally my sole duty.
I'm a therapist and I often respond to the sights of things like bank robberies or accidents. When you see on the news that crisis counselors are on site, that's me. Sometimes it can be intense psychological first aid, but it's often sitting around waiting for someone who wants to come talk. Sometimes I'm just there so the PR people can say that services are available. This is especially true with industrial accidents and layoffs. I get paid significantly more for these types of assignments, sometimes as much as $70 per hour, and the clock starts when I leave my home to travel to the site. I've had multiple days spent riding my motorcycle to the site, reading a book for 8 hours and riding home and never speaking to a single person. $500 in my pocket for the day.
Psych on a bike. Sounds like a new Discovery show.
Not me, but I work at a gas station and a lady paid a couple kids $20 to just go in and prepay her gas for her. It was like a minute walk and she paid these kids $20 for it. Like, damn, I would have done it for free.
TBF, I do this sometimes with kids. It gives them a way to make money without making it out to be like charity.
When I was younger, my geography teacher realized I was the only one paying attention. Second last class on a Friday, most people were antsy, so he stopped in the middle of his lecture once and said, "I'll give all the change in my pockets to anyone who can repeat back to me what I've been saying this past minute." He tried a few of my other classmates for fun, but the most they could guess was the general topic. He got to me and I was able to recite what he was talking about, and he gave me all his change. I got paid enough money for a carton of chocolate milk and a scone for paying attention.
Damn, he gave you his entire month's salary just to confirm if his job was worth doing?
This was about 15 years ago, shortly after McDonald's in Canada scooped up the coffee vendor originally supplying Tim Hortons. My brother and I went in to get coffee and we sat down to enjoy it. A guy dressed in a suit and carrying a microphone was going table to table asking people if they'd like to answer a few questions about how they found the coffee. Everyone, including my brother, turned him down. I told him I wouldn't mind. His eyes lit up and he asked me a few simple questions about how I liked it. To me it was the old Tim's coffee, so it was great. He took my details and told me they might use my response in some advertising. 3 weeks later I'm listening to the radio and hear a commercial for McD's coffee, and a clip from my response. Maybe 2 seconds worth. A week after that I was mailed a check for $420. My brother was pissed. Edit. Grateful for the silver, kind strangers 07.
This happens to me a lot. I do computer stuff on the side and I charge $150.00 per hour. One time someone wanted me to make all their cables under their desk all pretty since they saw my job on their server rack. I was like, "You do realize you are going to pay me $150 an hour to do this?" And they said, "Just do it." Easy money.
Finally seeing your cables completely untangled is pretty rewarding though.
Perhaps not the dumbest, but the most shady. About 20 years ago, when me and a bunch of my friends, we were 11 years old, were camping in the woods near a fjord, 2 guys in their early 20s approached us and asked if we wanted to sink a boat. They gave us a pack of cigarettes if we helped them sink the boat. We gladly accepted and followed them down to the water and went crazy on said boat. They gave us some axes and petrol to smash it up and light it on fire. 10 out of 10 experience. We had a lot of fun and didn't question the shadiness of it before later that evening, though we had no regrets.
Sounds like insurance fraud. Claim some kids destroyed and sunk your boat. Technically not lying. Either that or revenge on the guy who owned the boat.
Got paid $3,000 to participate in a medical study for a medical research company. Had to stay at their clinic for 5 days so they could monitor my vitals as I took the prescribed study D. Awesome gig. It was super chill. They feed you well and 90% of my stay was just downtime. So I got to chill, watch movies, play video games, read, and sleep while the occasional cute nurse came by to check my vitals, give me the study D, and ask if I had any negative symptoms.
Rich family paid me $500, minimum, a night to babysit their 8-year-old son. I was about 18, certified for child CPR, first aid, and grew up watching my nephews from a young age. I never set a price, just told them to pay me what they thought was fair. The kid was very polite and basically a young adult. I'm not sure if he took etiquette classes or something, but his face lit up when we played pretend ninjas for the first time. He slayed 3 of them in one slash haha. I was also there for his first skinned knee, and he took it like a champ. Just kept saying, "Oh man," called fractured 7, "it hurts a lot." But wound up extremely proud of it. One night they called abruptly to have me come sit, paid me in advance, then left $300, for pizza or whatever, you can keep the change, too. Then took off for 3 hours. They wanted him in bed an hour after they left, but I gave him 2.5 to play DK Country. Overall, dumb, but such good money. 10 out of 10 would babysit again, haha. Male babysitters have it rough, though. It got a lot of weird looks. Edit. Wow, did this blow up? I wasn't expecting this. I should add it's dumb on account of how easy it was, not to mention fun. Thank you for the awards, you're too kind.
They have it rough, but they're also extremely rare, and some parents and families want a male babysitter for their, generally, male kid. They pay a premium because they want the kid to have like a male babysitting figure. I made bank in the DC area babysitting kids of politicians and doctors and lawyers advertised as a male babysitter in the 2006 to 2010 era. The kids were a blast and the families a hoot. Made some real good connections, like one family, the dad owned a bar. Never paid for a single drink of top shelf liquor for a long time.
Not me, but my friend ate a whole rose, thorns and all, for $5.
I was once paid $50 to kick a guy in the nuts.
I paid $60 to drop kick my friend in the stomach. Then an additional $40 to use both feet. It was satisfying.
I am currently being paid to be an engineer for $55K and I have no effing idea what I'm doing.
Don't worry, I know software engineers with 40-year careers that still have no effing idea what they're doing.
A classmate of mine paid me to watch her sleep to make sure she wasn't sleeping weird, drooling, mouth open, constant moving, ECT, because she was moving in with her girlfriend. I got paid $75, it was worth it.
But was she sleeping weird?
Flown to Rome to hand-deliver the owner of the company a DVD of a recording of a show that went out the previous night, that we produced. I could have, and suggested, emailing him a link to download, but he wanted to show it to his friends with the broadcaster ticker running on it. I said I could just fake it and send a link. Get on the goddamn plane, Eltname. Okay. One business class flight, a weird experience waiting for him in his palazzo with lots of leopard print underwear littering the floor, then bump into the CFO who I'd seen back in London a few hours ago and didn't know I was going to be there. Surprise Batman. Meme, then wandered to the local office, they could have made the DVD there, and met my hot Italian colleagues. Then wandered around Rome for a day, went out for a plate of pasta, hung out with locals, got a 6 a.m. flight back the next morning. I wasn't paid a lot, but it was my first job.
I signed up for a medical study. They did a physical and had me do an at-home sleep study to check eligibility. They paid me $150 for doing this part. They called after and asked me if I knew I had sleep apnea. I had no clue. I wasn't eligible for the rest of the study because of it. So I got paid $150 to get diagnosed with sleep apnea. Obligatory edit. Thanks for the awards, kind strangers. I'm cracking up that my highest rated comment is this random event in my life.
I once did a psych study where I was told to talk to a guy about a few controversial topics, abortion, military, etc. Afterward they said, as an unrelated thing, here's a box with a small cup. We are doing a different study where a guy will have to eat a random amount of hot sauce, so he'll just have to eat whatever you put in there. So my immediate reaction was to fill the thing with as much sauce as it would handle. Afterwards, they informed me that the actual purpose of the study was to see how willing people were to inflict pain on others, hot sauce, if they had just had a heated debate with someone, secretly another researcher. Also, I was the control group, I guess, because the person I talked to was agreeable about everything. Long story short, I am scientifically proven to be an asshole.
That made me laugh out loud. Hopefully people feel a little less badly when you're an asshole to them after you explain this. Happy Cake Day.
For $50, a guy on Craigslist wanted a room in his house painted. So I get there and I'm setting up, hey, if you do it naked I'll pay you double. I went home with an easy $100. Dirty old man wants to pay that much to see my PP, awesome. Everyone's happy.
Nice. You didn't even have to get your clothes messy either.
I'm a nudist anyways, so it was nothing to me. If some dirty old man wants a gander I couldn't care less. And getting paid on top of it all? F.
Thank you for watching. We upload new videos every day, so be sure to come back for more fun. Please consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed the video.